You think you're making your own decisions? You believe you're in control of your reactions, your boundaries, your emotional state. But what if I told you that someone close to you has been running the same psychological script on you for months, maybe years, and you never noticed? What if every apology, every moment of kindness, every promise to change was just another carefully placed domino in a pattern designed to keep you exactly where they want you? This is the manipulation loop, and once you see it, you can never unsee it. We like to think manipulation is obvious, that we'd recognize it if someone were controlling us. We imagine manipulation as loud, aggressive, clear. But the most effective forms of psychological control are quiet. They're woven into the fabric of everyday interactions so seamlessly that you blame yourself for feeling confused, for doubting your own memory, for wondering if you're the problem. The manipulation loop used by narcissists and other personality disordered individuals isn't a single act. It's a behavioral cycle, a carefully orchestrated pattern that repeats, evolves, and tightens around you like a psychological noose. And the terrifying part? It works because it hijacks the very mechanisms your brain uses to form trust, attachment, and love. This pattern appears everywhere, in romantic relationships, in families, in workplaces. It doesn't discriminate, and understanding it isn't just about protecting yourself from narcissists. It's about recognizing how manipulation exploits universal human vulnerabilities, how it turns your strengths into weapons against you, how it makes you complicit in your own control. So what does this loop actually look like, and why do intelligent, self-aware people fall into it again and again? The manipulation loop operates in 4 distinct phases. Each phase serves a specific psychological function, and together they create a cycle that's almost impossible to escape without conscious awareness. Phase 1. Idealization. This is where it begins, not with abuse, not with control, but with something that feels like magic. In this phase, the narcissist doesn't just show interest, they mirror you. They reflect back your values, your dreams, your sense of humor, your worldview. It feels like you've finally found someone who gets you. They love bomb you with attention, affection, and validation. They make you feel seen in a way you've never experienced before. Here's a real example. Sarah met James at a community event. Within weeks, he was texting her every morning with thoughtful messages. He remembered details about her childhood she'd mentioned once. He shared her passion for environmental activism, her taste in obscure music, her complicated relationship with her family. He told her she was different from everyone else, special. Finally, someone who understood. But here's what Sarah didn't know. This wasn't connection, it was reconnaissance. The psychological mechanism at work here is called mirroring, a technique where someone temporarily adopts your personality traits, interests, and emotional patterns. It's rooted in our deep evolutionary need for belonging. When we meet someone who seems identical to us, our brain releases oxytocin and dopamine. We feel safe. We bond quickly. Our critical thinking diminishes. The narcissist isn't falling in love with you. They're studying you, learning which emotional buttons to push, building a baseline of your happiness so they can later manipulate the contrast. Phase 2. Devaluation. The shift is never sudden. That's the genius of it. It starts small. A comment that feels slightly off. A promise broken with a plausible excuse. A moment where they seem distracted, less enthusiastic. You tell yourself it's normal. The honeymoon phase always ends. But something feels wrong in a way you can't articulate. Then the criticism begins, subtle at first. Are you sure you want to wear that? You're being too sensitive. I was just joking. Why can't you take a joke? They withdraw affection just enough to make you chase it. They create confusion about what actually happened in conversations. They rewrite history. Let's return to Sarah. 3 months in, James started canceling plans last minute. When she expressed disappointment, he accused her of being controlling. He began pointing out her flaws, her weight, her career choices, her friendships. But he always framed it as concern. "I'm only saying this because I care about you, because I want you to be your best self." The psychological weapon here is intermittent reinforcement, one of the most powerful conditioning tools in behavioral psychology. When rewards become unpredictable, when affection is randomly given and withheld, the human brain becomes obsessed with figuring out the pattern. You try harder. You modify your behavior. You walk on eggshells. This is the same mechanism that makes gambling addictive, the same reason you check your phone compulsively. Your brain is no longer seeking consistent love. It's chasing the high of those rare moments when the idealization returns. And that's exactly what happens. Just when you're about to leave, just when the pain becomes unbearable, they give you a glimpse of phase 1 again. A beautiful date, a heartfelt apology, a promise that things will change. Which brings us to phase 3. Phase 3. Reconciliation. This is the phase that keeps you trapped. This is why you stay. After devaluation pushes you to your breaking point, the narcissist senses it. They feel your withdrawal, and they deploy what psychologists call hoovering, a term borrowed from the vacuum cleaner brand, because they're sucking you back in. They become the person from phase 1 again, temporarily. They might cry, they might acknowledge the pain they've caused, though they'll minimize it or blame external factors. "I've been under so much stress. My childhood made me this way. I'm terrified of losing you." They promise therapy. They promise change. They promise it'll be like it was in the beginning. And because you've been starved of the affection you once had, because you're desperate to believe the good version of them is the real version, you accept. Sarah stayed for 2 more years, cycling through these phases 7 times. Each reconciliation felt profound. Each promise felt sincere. But each cycle of devaluation grew worse. The criticism became meaner. The silent treatments lasted longer. The control tightened. The psychological principle here involves cognitive dissonance, the mental discomfort of holding 2 contradictory beliefs. This person loves me versus this person hurts me. The brain desperately tries to resolve this conflict, and the easiest resolution is to believe the promises, to focus on the good moments, to convince yourself you're overreacting. But reconciliation is never permanent because the pattern isn't about you at all. Phase 4. Repetition. This is where you realize the loop was never designed to end. It was designed to repeat forever. After each reconciliation, the cycle begins again. But something changes. The idealization phase gets shorter. The devaluation phase gets longer and more intense. The time between cycles compresses. What used to take months now takes weeks, then days. You find yourself constantly anxious, trying to predict their mood. You've developed hypervigilance, a trauma response where you're always scanning for danger. Your nervous system is stuck in fight-or-flight mode. You've lost touch with your own reality because they've consistently told you your perceptions are wrong. This is psychological conditioning at its most effective. Through repetition, the narcissist has trained your brain to accept the unacceptable, to normalize chaos, to believe that love is supposed to hurt. Sarah finally left when she noticed something chilling. She'd started treating herself the way James treated her. His critical voice had become her inner voice. His version of reality had become her default. She disappeared into the pattern. But why does this work? Why do intelligent, capable people get caught in this loop? The answer lies in how human attachment systems develop. From infancy, we learn that relationships follow certain patterns. When we cry, someone comes. When we smile, someone smiles back. These early experiences create what psychologists call attachment templates. unconscious blueprints for how we expect relationships to function. The manipulation loop works because it hijacks these templates. The narcissist activates your attachment system through idealization. They become the source of safety and validation. Then, through devaluation, they trigger your abandonment fears. Your brain, programmed by evolution to maintain attachment at all costs, goes into survival mode. Here's what's happening neurologically. The inconsistency creates what's called trauma bonding. When someone is both the source of your pain and your comfort, when they create the problem and offer the solution, your brain forms an intensely powerful bond. This is why hostages sometimes develop positive feelings toward their captors. This is why abuse survivors struggle to leave. It's not weakness, it's neurobiology. The pattern also exploits confirmation bias. Once you've invested time, emotion, and identity into the relationship, your brain selectively focuses on evidence that supports staying. You remember the good moments more vividly. You rationalize the bad ones. You become invested in proving to yourself that you didn't waste years on someone incapable of love. And there's another layer: learned helplessness. As the cycle repeats and your attempts to fix things fail, you gradually learn that your actions don't matter, that nothing you do will change the outcome. This psychological state, discovered through research in behavioral psychology, leads to depression, passivity, and the belief that escape is impossible. The narcissist doesn't need to physically imprison you. They've built a psychological cage so sophisticated you don't realize you're trapped until you're already deep inside. So why can't the narcissist just stop? Why does the pattern always come back? Because for them, this isn't manipulation. This is how they experience reality. Narcissistic personality disorder involves a fundamental deficit in emotional empathy and a fragile, unstable sense of self. The narcissist doesn't have a secure internal identity. They construct themselves from external validation. When you idealize them back during phase 1, they feel whole. But that feeling never lasts because it's built on sand. When the inevitable cracks appear, when you fail to perfectly reflect their grandiose self-image, they feel profound shame. But they can't tolerate shame, so they project it onto you through devaluation. Your flaws become the reason they feel bad. Your inadequacy becomes the explanation for their emptiness. The pattern repeats because the narcissist's internal structure demands it. They need the idealization phase to feel alive. They need the devaluation phase to avoid their own shame. They need the reconciliation phase to maintain their supply of validation. And they need repetition because nothing ever actually changes inside them. You can't love them out of this pattern. You can't behave perfectly enough to stop it. Because the loop isn't about you, it never was. You're just the screen onto which they project their internal chaos. And for you, the pattern repeats because of something called the sunk cost fallacy. The more you invest, the harder it becomes to walk away. Each cycle makes you more committed to proving it wasn't for nothing. The pattern feeds on your hope, your loyalty, your capacity for forgiveness, all the beautiful qualities that make you human. Breaking free requires something counterintuitive. You have to stop trying to understand them and start observing the pattern itself. First, document reality. Keep a private journal of specific interactions, dates, times, exact words spoken. The narcissist's power lies in distorting your perception of what actually happened. When you have a written record, you can see the pattern emerge clearly. You'll notice the cycles. You'll see the contradictions. You'll have evidence when they tell you that never happened. Second, watch for what's called the empathy test. When you express pain or need, does their response consistently center on themselves? Do they become defensive, victimized, or angry when you set boundaries? Do they apologize but never actually change behavior? Real remorse involves sustained effort to repair harm. Narcissistic reconciliation involves just enough effort to keep you hooked. Third, notice your own nervous system. Are you constantly anxious? Do you rehearse conversations in your head, trying to phrase things so they won't get angry? Do you feel like you're walking on eggshells? Your body registers manipulation before your mind consciously understands it. Chronic anxiety in a relationship is data. Fourth, observe the pattern of promises versus actions. Words are cheap. Behavior is truth. If someone has promised to change 17 times and the behavior remains identical, the pattern is the answer, not the promises, the pattern. And finally, understand this. Recognizing the manipulation loop doesn't require you to label the other person as a narcissist. Diagnostic labels belong to professionals. What matters is whether the relationship is damaging you, whether the pattern is sustainable, whether you're losing yourself. Breaking the pattern often requires outside support, friends, family, or a therapist who understands psychological manipulation. Not because you're weak, but because the pattern has been designed to isolate you and make you doubt your own judgment. Other perspectives break the spell. And here's what most people don't tell you. Leaving doesn't always mean physical separation. Sometimes it means emotional separation while you plan your exit. Sometimes it means staying but refusing to engage with the cycle. Sometimes it means going no contact. There's no single right way, but there is a wrong way. Believing that you can fix the pattern by loving harder, by being better, by finally becoming enough. You were always enough. The pattern doesn't exist because of your inadequacy. It exists because of theirs. Remember that shocking statement from the beginning? That someone close to you might be running a psychological script you never noticed? Here's what's more shocking. The most invisible patterns are often the ones we're standing inside, the ones we've normalized, the ones we defend. The manipulation loop works because it disguises itself as love. It uses the language of care while performing the actions of control. It promises growth while demanding stagnation. And it repeats not because you're failing, but because repetition is its nature. Human behavior follows patterns. Psychology is, at its core, the study of these patterns, the cycles we fall into, the beliefs we inherit, the subconscious programming that runs our lives without our permission. But here's the profound truth. Patterns can be seen, and once seen, they can be interrupted. The narcissist's manipulation loop is powerful, but your awareness is more powerful. Your ability to step outside the cycle, to observe it rather than participate in it, to choose differently, that's where your freedom lives. Not every relationship that hurts is narcissistic. Not every conflict is manipulation. But if you've recognized yourself in this pattern, if this video has named something you felt but couldn't articulate, trust that recognition. Your confusion wasn't random. Your anxiety wasn't irrational. You weren't imagining it. You were living inside a loop designed to make you question reality itself. Now you know the pattern, and that changes everything.